Have you ever felt like you're stuck in the same routine, doing the same things over and over, and wondering if it's all leading anywhere? Is that too depressing to open a video with? Okay, well how about, do you like crazy action, swords flying, and a hot waifu destroying robots? That better? That's how NieR hooks you. It takes a mysterious sci-fi world right in the middle of a long, violent battle between machine and androids, and stars a sexy Victorian badass that dodges, flips, and slashes through waves of machines. After a successful video game, it translated to an anime retelling its story, and to many new viewers on the surface, the anime is just cool sci-fi waifu with big sword. But as you lose yourself in the action, NieR Automata quietly challenges you to question your own existence and the meaning of being human. Which, by the way, I've watched a lot of videos on how people actually pronounce this. Is it automata? Is it automata? Well, let me know in the comments how you say it, because apparently people don't agree on this. Anyway, when I first played the game on PS4, I remember being sucked in by the style of it all and the combat. I was young though and didn't have an interest in themes and storytelling, so I just played it, went, that was weird, didn't really understand the story, and moved on. That was a couple years ago, and I didn't have a YouTube page where I deep dive into the powerful themes that Japanese pop culture can bring. I also didn't have much of an ego where I thought people would actually want to hear what I had to say about it, but the whole thing is, I didn't really pay attention to what the game was trying to tell me. That's the crazy thing about NieR Automata. You could play it and totally miss all the details, the world building, and the deep meanings it showcases. Those who do get consumed by it, however, are treated to this vast world filled with lore that spans multiple games, stories, and there is even a concert. The game itself has been dissected for years and still holds up to this day, although we really should get a remaster at this point, but the game can take a while to beat, and completing all the side quests and multiple endings may not fit into everyone's schedule, which is why we have the anime now. The anime is officially titled NieR Automata version 1.1a, and this is because it tells the story of the game, but changes it slightly to fit the flow of an anime rather than a game with tons of side quests. It does feature the amazing music from the game though, and by the way, the first OP just absolutely rocks. But it immediately grips you with its opening fight. Our hero 2B crashes into a machine factory and immediately starts doling out piping hot ass whooping in that NieR style, all with a few upskirt teases to maybe make you focus that little bit harder. I make such a fuss about the sex appeal because, well, it's used to keep you interested when the themes get much heavier. The creator Yoko Taro, yes, that's what he wears in every interview, is a smart and creative man, but he has openly stated, and I quote, "But the biggest reason is that I just really like girls." But beneath the surface appeal, Taro's work holds unexpected emotional and philosophical depth. By blending his appreciation of beautiful women and complex and deep storytelling, he creates a layered experience of thrilling action, charming characters, and themes that just may give you an existential crisis. You see, existentialism at its core is about confronting the absence of inherent meaning in the universe and embracing the freedom to create your own. It forces us to grapple with difficult questions. Who am I, and why am I here if my existence has no predetermined purpose? This is pretty on the nose with the main character being called 2B, but these are the very questions posed by NieR Automata, and it uses its three main characters, 2B, 9S, and A2, to explore the main concepts of this philosophy, like 2B and the concept of absurdism. This concept suggests that life is inherently meaningless, and the search for meaning can feel absurd or pointless. This can lead to despair, so to avoid that, we embrace the absurdity of life and create our own meaning. In NieR, the androids justify their existence by fighting a never-ending war for mankind. They believe machines are mindless killers and should be exterminated. However, 2B begins to notice the machines acting differently. They expressed human emotions like fear, some are non-violent, some form their own relationships, and even religion. This is a whole nother concept that I'll explain later, but 9S will often question machines' behavior or explain the history of the lost human civilization, like how he describes naps as sleeping when it wasn't necessary, which clearly he doesn't know anything about raising a newborn baby. I live on naps. Though 2B is quick to dismiss this banter at first, she begins wondering if the war is worth it and starts to hate her true purpose as an android. 2B deals with this concept of a never-ending cycle that she grows to hate and begins to rebel in small ways. At first, she is resistant to call 9S 9s even though he would enjoy it, but as they connect more, she starts to see him as a friend and not just a soldier. At the beginning, she says emotions are strictly prohibited, yet she expresses a lot of different emotions throughout the anime. 2B finds a flower for 6 so, and 6-0 tells her to wear it, which she does. You can hear the emotional frustration in her voice when she utters the phrase, "Why does it always end like this?" I'm not going into spoilers for this video, so people actually support the anime and the game and can go in fresh. That being said, I do have a spoiler-filled deep dive going through all my notes on this for my patrons and YouTube members, so if you're as obsessed with the details and hidden meanings of NieR Automata as I am, my extended deep dive is where I dig into everything the anime leaves unsaid. Check out the link in the description if you want more. 2B is similar to the ancient myth of Sisyphus. It's a classic story from Greek mythology where Sisyphus is condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity. Every time he gets close to the top, the boulder rolls back down and he has to start over. Existentialism uses this as a metaphor for life, an endless cycle of trying and failing, but instead of despairing, the key is for Sisyphus to find meaning in the struggle itself. The trick is to imagine Sisyphus as happy. This makes a seemingly pointless existence filled with meaning by embracing the absurd. You can realistically make the argument that the entire war is similar to Sisyphus and his ceaseless task, but 2B is the one we witness slowly begin to change her narrative. As she rebels against her purpose, she finds beauty and joy in the little things around her, mostly 9S's company, and it is ultimately A2 who breaks this cycle, setting 2B free. Before this, 2B creates her own reason to fight and live amid the meaningless war raging around her. While 2B works to avoid despair, 9S unfortunately dives headfirst into it. The harsh truth is that while finding meaning can be liberating, the search for it, however, can become an overwhelming weight. 9S represents the tension between curiosity and despair. He is always fascinated by the little things on his journey, like a t-shirt, but this curiosity quickly begins to lead him down a dark and tragic path. As 9S reveals the truth about the machines and the meaninglessness of the war, the more he becomes unhinged. This reflects the existential concept of the overwhelming nature of knowledge and the concept of nausea, a state where self-awareness and knowledge about existence becomes too much to bear. 9S becomes a victim of his quest for knowledge, and his downward spiral is similar to the existential belief that the more one understands about the world's meaninglessness, the harder it becomes to cope with it. 9S conflicts this with anger for all machine life forms. He has witnessed their behavior as more than just mindless killers. He has even peacefully interacted with them in Pascal's village, but he has this xenophobia against them. It is like this kind of philosophical prejudice where he projects his frustration and despair onto them in order to cope with his own unraveling understanding of the world. Sometimes when we are faced with uncomfortable truths, we lash out or seek a scapegoat, and this prejudice blocks out 9S's ability to find peace in the machine's existence and therefore his own. This is the mistake that 9S does with his freedom to choose. Existentialists believe that we are condemned to be free, meaning that humans are free to make choices, but with this freedom comes the heavy responsibility of deciding who we are. How many times have you made big choices in your life that can shape your future? Things like, should I go to college? Should I move to a new city? Should I settle down with this person? Should I start a YouTube page? It is weird how much this YouTube page changed my life. This freedom can create intense anxiety, as every decision can shape our identity and the course of our lives. This isn't a video game where we just try a new choice on the next playthrough. We are playing for keeps here. It is important for people to find peace in their decisions, regardless if it has a favorable outcome. This is where A2 comes in. Where 9S struggled with his freedom, A2 thrived in hers. Well, as much as one can thrive in the NieR universe. She isn't bogged down by rage. Though she gets frustrated by machines, she finds a purpose in staying with them. A2's entire arc can symbolize the liberation that existentialism offers. That is why she doesn't wear a visor. I thought they were just wearing visors because they looked cool. Nope, still existentialism. You can't escape it. I find it hilarious that I've wanted to learn about this philosophy for so long, but all the books I was reading was super boring, and then NieR shows up and teaches me it. Her freedom from Yorha allows her to forge her own path. Existentialism doesn't view freedom as a gift, however. It is a burden that forces us to create our own meaning, and that is exactly what A2 does after her time alone. After being disconnected from Yorha, A2 spends an unknown amount of time surviving alone. She is driven by vengeance to defeat any machines and Yorha units she comes upon the way. Not a great way to make friends, not a great way to not spiral into despair, not a very positive existence. This changes though when she is recovering in Pascal's village. At first she is threatening to kill the entire village and says that her only objective in life was to kill machine life forms, but as she looks around at all of the machines living a normal life, she says, or so I thought. She begins to notice the personalities in the machines, and unlike 9S's mindset, she is charmed by it. The children machines call her Big Sis. She develops a relationship with the village. she leads an army against a hostile machine attack on the village. A2 is what everyone can achieve when we let go of trying to control the absurd world, when we make peace with the decisions we make, and when we don't let all the knowledge we learn about existence take over us. Even after literally losing everything and wandering around killing, she finds a new purpose in life that is about love. This gives her not just a reason to keep moving forward, but the joys life offers, like just laughing with the machines after a victory. These three characters perfectly capture the complex topics that existentialism brings. It's not just about what you do with your existence, but how we exist as a species, and NieR Automata even has that covered. We witness the machines change behavior over time. Many are just mindlessly attacking, but others develop thoughts, emotions, and personalities. Early on in the anime, we see a machine take care of a flower growing in the field. It teaches other machines how to water and grow flowers. Soon there is this big, full field of beautiful flowers, and the machines are happy, but an army of violent machines march forward over the flowers, trampling all the hard work the gardening machines put in. They are distraught and end up getting caught in the crossfire. As the first gardener lays dying, it sees a flower and reaches out to touch it. This machine woke up and decided to pursue gardening and influenced other machines to take up gardening, giving them purpose while also just putting beautiful flowers into the world. It left an impact not just on itself, but on the other machines and everyone who walked by the flowers. The war-bent machines, however, trample the flowers and even lead to the death of the gardener. It can be taken as a metaphor for the violence of war, but also how we have the choice to create and destroy. Creation is a powerful thing because it gives us such meaning in our lives. Before its death, the gardener reaches out to touch a flower, but why? He can't feel anything because he doesn't have nerve endings. He is strictly doing it because of the connection made with it and the purpose it gave the gardener in its life. Pascal and the villagers are the perfect example of how our existence creates. Some machines attempt to recreate human culture, like forming religions, political systems like a king, even love for a partner, a family member, and friend. They are forced to grapple with their freedom and now create positive relationships with one another, and even take in someone who should be considered an enemy like A2. This is the complexity of our existence, and it is amazing how NieR Automata can capture this so well while disguising it as a flashy, sexy, action-packed story. If you haven't played the game, the anime is a perfect way to experience a story, learn about the deep themes, and maybe even have your own existential crisis along the way. The story can mean a lot to a lot of different people, but at its core, it makes you ask yourself, what are you doing with your existence, and what do you want to do with it? It can empower you to find what truly matters in your life and push you out of your comfort zone to find it. Who will you be? Will you be like 2B and realize the absurdity of your cycle and work to change it? Will you spiral deeper into despair like 9S, so blinded by his rage to realize he needs help? Or will you be like A2 and truly embrace freedom while fighting for the purpose you choose? This is just one of the many reasons why NieR still holds up to this day. There is so much more to it than just this too, like the flashy combat, sex appeal, complex storytelling, new ways to explore the world like this anime, and even the marketing. There is something powerful about a story of machines dealing with what it means to be human, and another great example of that is the new Terminator anime and how it shockingly goes way deeper than it needs to. And to hear more about that, you can check out this video right here.